we're going to pick up now where we left off from concatenation, and we are going to move into quotes. Okay, so like we did before, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put an HR at the end of this so we can have a visual break on our page. And then I'm going to go ahead and create another H2, and we're going to call that, let's see, we are going to call that quotes. All right, and when I come down here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some PHP tags, and we are going to start off with a comment. Okay, so single quotes. And when I say up here that single quotes it'll read literal text, I mean all characters, including special characters. Okay, and maybe I should put that, but just know that it means that it will read special characters, whereas double quotes will not read special characters. Special character, for example, would be a dollar symbol, which would normally indicate the beginning of a variable. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's make some variables that we can use. So let's do something called name, and we're going to have name equals Marcus. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say echo my name is, and then in my curly braces I'm going to put like this. Okay, so here I'm designating a value for the variable of name, and here I'm using the variable of name in this string. Okay, my name is name. Let's go ahead and save that, and let's see how that shows up. Okay, because it's in double quotes, my name is Marcus will show up, and it will use Marcus as the value for that variable. It substitutes it and it parses it and it generates it right here. And so if we wanted to be really succinct and clear, right underneath quotes, let's put a little note in a paragraph tag where we can say double quotes. Okay, and then that way you can see whenever we test it like this. All right, in fact, if you wanted to, you could even be a little bit more explicit, and you could put like strong tags around it so it's really clear, because you might want to, you're going to go back and refer to this later. So double quotes. All right, so now let's go down, and I'm going to put another paragraph tag here, and I'll put single quotes like that. And then we're going to start a PHP up again, and I'm going to do this. I'm just going to copy it and paste it, but instead of double quotes, I'm going to put single quotes here so you can see. Oh, excuse me. Either way, single quotes here actually doesn't matter at all. Okay, and I'll show you why in just a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and just put single quotes here too. Okay, so this part, it doesn't matter. I could have had single quotes up here as well, and I'll explain it in a second. Here, though, is what matters. So it's saying my name is, and then now it has to parse this and it has to read this variable. Well, if you look at my note up here, it doesn't read PHP directives, it doesn't read variables, it reads it as literal text. Let's save that, and let's just see what happens on our screen. And you see down here, it's printing out the curly braces, the dollar symbol, because it doesn't see those as special characters, it's just reading them as textual characters. All right, that's the difference between single quotes and double quotes. Those are the really, really big differences right there. Okay, and I think the other thing I'm just going to do too is make this, let's be consistent. And here we'll just end it. Okay, so you can see the difference right off the bat between single and doubles. Okay, now I want to show you, I could have had singles up here. Why, might you ask? And it's still going to work. I'll show you just to prove it to you. Okay, see, it still looks fine up here. And the reason is because I don't have any PHP directives in here. It's just literal text. It's MARCUS. There's not a variable in there that has to read. There's not like a new line character. There aren't any kinds of special things in there. It's just text. So that's fine. This is where I start to run into problems, okay? So now you might be wondering, well, when do I use singles and when do I use doubles? And sometimes it matters and sometimes it doesn't. And so just really it's going to end up being your own preference. A lot of people gravitate immediately to double quotes because it will read variables and stuff. But there are times when you don't want double quotes because maybe it makes what you're doing a little bit harder. Like if you're trying to generate HTML and the HTML has double quotes inside of it, you can't put the same kind of quote inside of the same kind of quotes. In fact, let's move into that arena. And I'm going to come down here and let's just make another H2. It says quotes within quotes. And let's make our PHP. Okay, so let's do an example. So let's say that we want to say echo, and we want to say a string, okay, and we want to put that in double quotes, and then let's say that I was told to watch, and then let's say that you have a TV show, and a TV show typically goes in quotes. Frasier on television. Period. Okay. Well, this is a problem because what's happening, in fact, let's just save it, and you can see the red block right here. It's telling me something's wrong. Let's just save it and let's see what happens. Go ahead and refresh, and boom, you get a big error message. It's telling me that there's a problem on line 55, and it's saying unexpected Frasier. It doesn't know what this means. It doesn't know what the heck that is. It's expecting something different, okay? And that's because what's happening is I got this quote started, and then I end the quote, but then I'm not doing anything here, okay? So that's a problem. All right, what I could do instead is I could have these be single quotes on the outside, because right now I'm not reading any variables into it. Right now I just need all of this to be literal text, okay? So that's when I would make single quotes on the outside, because I need double quotes on the inside, because that is the way you're supposed to cite, you know, a TV show. You wouldn't underline it, or I don't know, maybe you would. Maybe I should put this as a song. But if you were to cite something that was supposed to be in quotes, and it had to be double quotes, then you would start this with single quotes out here. So let's save that and let's see how it fixes itself. And now you've got, I was told to watch Frasier on television. So that works. Now, the only problem though is that what happens when, let's say that Frasier, say show, okay, equals Frasier. Let's say that we're trying to pass this variable into here. Okay, well, we've got show. What's going to happen though is what happened before in the example is this. Remember, because now we've got single quotes on the outside. And so it's reading everything inside of those single quotes, including this variable, as literal text. And you might go, well, wait a second, these are double quotes. That's inside double quotes. But the problem is that the double quote is inside of single quotes. Therefore, the doubles are being read as literal text. Okay, so I know that might sound confusing at first. If you need to back this up and watch it again, that's fine. But this is something that's really important, and it will drive you crazy if you don't have at least a general grasp of it later in the semester when you're trying to troubleshoot stuff. So make sure that you understand this concept. So here is something else you could do. So let's say that you need to there's some different ways you could deal with this. All right, one is that I could end my single quote right there with a single quote, okay, and concatenate. And see, this is PHP. It's just going to be reading it as another argument coming right after that first string, and then it'll read the value of show variable, and then I concatenate again, and I would start with another single string mark to complete this one. Okay, so this gets a little bit confusing to students sometimes, but if you start with a single string, you have to end with a single string, and everything inside of it is actually the string. Okay, and then if you want to add some PHP to the end of it, you would concatenate like this. So you would say dot variable dot, and then you start your single string up again, which ends here. So the actual stuff that's in that string is all of this. Okay, so let's save this. Let's go back, refresh, and now it's all better again. Okay, so there's some other variations and iterations. All right, something else that you could have done, okay, is I want to show you yet another variation. Let's go ahead and I'm going to do a break tag here, and then we'll do another PHP set of tags. All right, and here is an alternate variation, and this is going to be doing something called escaping. Okay, I'm going to copy this, and let's say that you want to use double quotes. Okay. Oops, I meant to make that a terminator. Okay, so I want to watch, and then we're going to say Frasier, or we're going to say, what is this? Show. That's the variable name that we used on television. Okay. Now, I already told you once you can't do it this way, right? Well, what you can do is you can escape that and that. And what this combination does is, all right, let me back this up. Remember I told you that if you use double quotes, here's the note, just as a reminder, double quotes will read PHP directives, okay? Anytime inside of double quotes, it sees a backslash, it is going to read that as a directive, not as a backslash character. It's going to read it as a directive that's called escaping. And what that means is that it escapes back into text mode. Okay, so it's going to escape back into text mode, and it warns that the very next character that's coming is supposed to be interpreted as text, not as a PHP directive. So that means that this quote will be read as text and not as the ending quotation mark for this string. Okay? Back that up if you don't understand it, and listen to me explain that one more time. This is the other alternative way. And I don't prefer to do it this way because it starts to get really messy and confusing. However, there are people out there who do it, and if you're looking at someone else's code, you need to understand what this is doing. And sometimes there are no other real alternatives, so you need to still know how to do that. I'm going to save that. Let's go ahead and do a little quick test, refresh it, and it looks exactly the same. So there are lots of different ways that you can do this. You just need to understand the rules to know how to navigate around it. Okay, so I'm going to end this demonstration here, and we're going to sort of end our string conversation with this. And the next thing that you might want to look at, or not want to, but you should look at, would be the lessons that start talking about functions that you can use with strings. It's going to be a very important lesson for completing your exercises and moving forward with this education.